Ladies and gentlemen, in today's session, you people are going to learn about Aristotle, Plato, Socrates. Prior to discuss about Plato's idealism, Plato's cave theory, Plato's main stance, I would like to discuss about our religion. I would like to discuss about religion, Islam. Since I'm a Muslim and it's my duty to tell you something related to Islam as well. When Socrates was over there and Socrates was making people to think, because people were just following sophists, and they were giving them rhetoric, they were giving them logic, and through logic and rhetoric they were just convincing people. As long as you are convincing, you are using the rhetoric, you are logically just convincing someone, and you convince someone, you are right. For example, if I am killer and you want to defend me, you are a sophist, and I have hired you. I'm a king and I'm a killer as well. I have hired certain people, and I make them to brainwash for me some people. I hire you as a sophist, you are working for me. You go place to place and you convince people this king is very nice. Though he kills, though he kills people, yet he's a good man. Since I have hired you and you go place to place being a sophist and you are convincing people. So this way, you are not going to learn the true virtues. You are just convincing and guiding, and people were like that before that. But when Socrates come, Socrates started criticizing all these people, and he used critical thinking. He used Socratic dialogues. He started making dialogue with the people. What is good, for what is it's a good, what is the virtue, what is good, what is happiness, what is good deeds. So everything he discussed through Socratic dialogue. At the same time, we can also take the same thing from Holy Quran as well. I want to give you reference from the Holy Quran. I hope you have studied Holy Quran and you have studied about Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was worried, who is God? And he just saw the star. Look at the dialogues. It looks as if these dialogues are coming from Holy Quran. So just look. He saw the stars and he says, these are my God. They are God. So soon they disappear and moon appears. No, he says to himself, I think he's bigger than, and he's also shining. I think he will be my God. Soon moon disappeared and sun appeared. And he sees, since it's a big one and it's giving light, as Roman Greek had a belief that sun was a god. So he says, so look at how Allah Almighty giving you logic, rhetoric, how he's making you understand through analogy. So he says, I think sun is my God. So soon sun also sets. It sets in the west, and he said, it can't be God. I hate who sets. So I don't like. My God is not like that. My God can't set in the west. I think it's not God. And overall, he concludes, I obey Allah Almighty, who controls all these things, sun, moon, stars. Even when he was making dialogue with Namrud, he says that you claim that your God can give death, it can do justice. Come. Namrud said, come. You say your God give justice. You say your God give death. So I get death, life. Look, these two people. One has committed crime. I have sentenced him to death. But I am giving life to this person, and giving sentence to a person who was innocent. Look, I have given death and life. And then he asked that you claim that your God is is having a power. I have a power. I can even do justice. I can even kill people. I can give death. I can give life. Okay. Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam said, my God is one. My Allah is a one who rises sun from the east and set in the west. I say that if you really are God, say to sun that it should rise from the west. So upon this, uh, he was disappointed. So that's how Hazrat Ibrahim, he used his own dialogues. He made dialogue with the Namrud, and he discussed, like Socratic dialogues. It looks that Ibrahim, it is Socratic dialogues. If I compare, I just compared it, because I studied Holy Quran. It looks as if all these dialogue, all Socratic knowledge, it comes from Ibrahim's dialogues. So Ibrahim also made dialogue like that. These were also logical dialogues. He made with Namrud. He even made his nation understand how he perceived God, how he understands God, that God is the one who does not set, who does not disappear, who does not leave. So we can relate it, such kind of knowledge with our religion as well. Hope you got the point. In today's session, you people are going to learn about Socratic dialogues. I have even compared it with Abraham's dialogue with Namrud. I compared just in a way to understand, make you understand how Hazrat Ibrahim convinced people, how he made his nation able to understand God. Then we are going to study about Plato's idealism, what is the difference between idealism and realism. I'll be discussing about this, and then I will teach you about Plato's 4 cardinal virtues. Then I will teach you about Plato's theories of cave. Let's see one by one. It's a place of, Namrud's god, Namrud and Azar, father of Ibrahim, he used to, worship their god over here. This place is still existed in Iraq. If you go to Iraq, you can see this place where all the, idolaters, they come and they brought their gods and they worship them. They even reward them. And this is a place I found from internet, this picture. Searching for the truth. I will just read you the quotation because I want to relate it with Socratic dialogues. Searching for the truth, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, he asked himself, these stars looks very beautiful and they are twinkling, they are shining. I think they are my God. They disappeared. He said that they can't be God. Moon comes, it will be my God. Then sun comes, he says that it can be my God, but it also set. As it sets, he says that my God can't set. My God is the one who operates all these things, who run, control, and who has command over all things, dominion over all these things. He saw the shining stars and said to himself, could this be my Lord? But when it sets, he said, I don't like those that set. The star had disappeared, so it could not be God. God is always present. Then he saw the moon rising in the splendors and said, could this be my Lord? But the moon also set. And daybreak he saw the sun rising and said, could this be my Lord? This is the biggest and the brightest. So talk about the sun, it is the biggest and the brightest. So it can be my God. But you know what it proves? It's also kind of Socratic dialogue. I'm just making you understand how Socrates was making them to understand. And he also rose the same question. You worship all these gods, all these demigods. You worship all these statues, you worship all these demigods, they are like humans, and you say they are God. So if horse or donkey or other animals, they have a wit, they have a hand, and they was to made like this statue. They had to prepare statue. They could have prepared like that. They could have prepared like their own farm. So it mean God's image you are portraying, it's not a true God. True God is somewhere else. That was a God of the Abraham. That was a God of the Moses. That was a God of the Jesus. That was a God of Yahya. That was a God of Ismail Islam. That was a God of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, but when the son also said, he said, "Oh my people, I am free from all that you join the partner with Allah. I have turned my face toward Allah who created the heavens and the earth, and never shall I associate partner with God." So it's just like Socratic dialogues. Let's move forward. It is said about Plato. Plato is one of the greatest ancient Greek philosopher. So this man Plato, he is named Plato. Before his name was not a Plato. His name was by birth, when he got birth, his name, he was named at Aristotle, not Aristotle, Aristotle. So he was named by parents as Aristotle. We pronounce word another who was his student. He was Aristotle, but he was not Aristotle. His name was Aristotle. So before he was named as Aristotle, but later he was like a wrestler, and very brave and wrestler, and very healthy person. So people started calling him Plato. Like Plato mean like as like a wrestler. So then people started calling him, since he was having a great knowledge, and people admired him due to his wit, rhetoric, knowledge, and comprehensive knowledge, political knowledge, and cosmological knowledge, vast knowledge. People started calling him Plato. So one of the great Western philosopher, his name is Whitehead. Whitehead, 20th century philosopher, he said, whatever you see Western philosophy, whatever philosophy you see, whatever work you see in philosophy, it looks as if footnote of Plato. You know, when somebody prepares notes, whenever I prepare notes, I just write some footnote, some points, some bullet points. So it looks, whatever philosophy you see, the great work of Friedrich Nietzsche, the great work of Jean-Paul Sartre, great work of Kierkegaard, great work of Spinoza, great work of Thomas Aquinas, great work of rest of the philosophers. So every philosopher, it looks as if they are just giving footnote of Plato. They are copying Plato. How they are copying Plato? Whatever philosophy comes in front of you, when you deconstruct, it will be standing either in front of realism or idealism. It means they are the father of philosophy. Whatever philosophy you deconstruct, you analyze, you just break down. Once you break down, it will be standing either in front of idealism or realism. Why? Because they are the father of philosophy. They had given two main concepts, idealism and realism. So the safest general characteristic of the European philosophical tradition is that if consists of a series of the footnote, it consists of the series of the footnote to Plato. Whatever philosophy you see in Western society, whatever philosopher, whoever he or she is, whatever she is doing, whatever he or she is writing, if you deconstruct, it will be standing either in front of realism or idealism. And they both teacher student. Right right behind me you can see. So here is one person who is pointing towards sky. He says that reality is not what you see, it is just a copy. For example, the cross symbol you see over here, this cross symbol is in the mind of someone. So this is not reality. This symbol is not, it's a mere symbol, mere copy. Somebody saw this symbol and then someone created with wood like this cross symbol. But where was this symbol before this? Definitely in the mind of someone. So whatever object you see, whatever great building you see, whatever painting, sculpture, or statue, or painting, or great work, artistic work, whatever you see, before that it was in the mind of someone. It shows that reality is somewhere else in ideas. He say, object you see, these are mere objects, but before that it was in the mind of the person. This mouse you see, definitely it comes first in the mind of someone, and then he translated it, then he converted it into object. So first of all, things come in mind, in idea, then same idea is translated or converted into object. It means real world is somewhere else. I will also explain you through cave theory, then you will better understand what is a real understanding. What is a real word, and what is the fictional word, and what is just copied word. This is what copied. This marker is, according to Plato, this is copy, this is copy, and this mobile phone is also copy. Everything is copied because original idea was in the mind of someone, and someone later translated it or converted it into the real object, this object. So real idea or something is lying in head or somewhere else, according to Plato. So now I would like to explain you this cave theory. Be with me. I want to teach you core concept of cave theory. According to Plato, we people, if we really want to govern any land, if we want to set up true government, if we really want to rule and govern and guide and teach people, then we need ruler as a philosopher. We need ruler who must have command on philosophy, because only philosopher can teach and guide people well. These rulers, they are uneducated, they are not competent enough to lead people. So to rule some country, a person doesn't need to have democracy, rather knowledge of philosophy. Mere knowledge of philosophy is enough to rule land, because the person who can who is having knowledge of philosophy, he can transcend time and space. He can think beyond the box. He can go outside the box and he can see things. For example, according to Plato, there are 3 4 people, they are round about 3 4 people, they are in cave, and they've been prisoned for quite long time, and they are directed to see in front of them. All the time they spent all their life in the cave. They were caged in the cave, and all the life they spent, you can see in front of you. If you can see here, here is a picture. I will illustrate from here. Look, this person is imprisoned, and all life he spent in front of just in the cave, and what he see in front of him, there is one image. Let's suppose I cage you, I cage you in one of box, and you have to see only front. You have to see only in front of you, nothing, neither this side or right or left. You are not going to see right or left. You will just see front. And behind you, there is a wall. Okay. Behind you, there is a wall. And here is a fire is burning behind you. And somebody is catching some, images. So it is a real image. it is in the hand of someone, and this man is just showing, just raising this bird image, a bird, a kind of picture or painting. So what happens? Real image is over here, but the person is just looking front, and this light is in fact giving the image, and the image he's seeing in front of him, he's considering that it's a real one. While this person is in a confusion, he is in misconception, because the image he's seeing is not a reality. Reality is behind him. So to understand this reality, he just have to break this box first. Break this box and come outside and see behind that there is a something, there's something else. Plato started thinking, what if we are just being blind to all these reality? What if there is another world? If there is another world, then we are living in just illusion. We are in deception. We are considering this is real world, while real world is somewhere else. He makes you understand through this analogy. He gives you analogy of cave, that there is a person in the cave. All the time he or she, he spent his life in the cave, and he's seeing in front of him, and only one image is coming, and he's considering this reality, while it's not reality. Reality is behind him. He has to just go outside the box to see the true reality. I hope you got the point. I want that you should explain what I have explained you now, what I am saying. Say in your own word. Hafza, I want that you should say in your own word. Well, you can speak Urdu if you wish. I just want to see whether you are understanding or not. Are you listening to me? Hafza, are you over here?
Yes, sir.
Okay, explain in your own word what I was explaining, so that I may have idea you are understanding my point.
सर मैं ऐसे लेक्चर को ना रिकॉर्ड कर रही हूँ, क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया था ना कि मेरे पेपर हो रहे हैं, तो इस वजह से जो एक फर्स्ट लेक्चर था ना वो मैंने ये लिखा था, और बाकी मैं रिकॉर्ड कर रही हूँ.
Okay.
सर मेरे ना मिड्स हो रहे हैं, मंडे से लेके ना इस सैटरडे तक लगातार ही पेपर है.
Okay, go behind. If you come here, you see the shadows cast on the wall. There are some people, they are sitting, and they've been living in this cave forever. These people are just directed to see in front of them. There are some images, they are just behind the wall. And there is a fire is also going on. So there is a fire also burning. Due to this fires, due to this light, there is a light that is reflecting on the wall. And these people, they are performing some activity, and their images are just reflected on the wall. And these people consider this is reality. While here is someone who just he escaped from here, and he just travel, and he move here, and then he reached here, and he see that there is something else. He just come here, and he see that reality is something else. We've been considering this reality forever, but reality is something different. Whatever we perceived through our senses, that was just a reflection. These were image, and they were being reflected from the real world. So real world is somewhere else. He says, just like cave theory, we've been living in an illusion, we're living in a deception. Real world is somewhere else, and he considered real world is world of idea. Real world, which is original, that is a higher self. And if you want to get reality, then you have to break the box. You have to see things with different perspective. Then you will come to the reality. Reality you are seeing in front of you, perceiving, these are through five senses, and five senses are unable to perceive exact reality, because there are certain things our senses can't perceive. Still these things are existing. Talk about revenge, talk about beauty, talk about truth, talk about honesty, talk about anger, talk about love. So these things you can't see, but they have their existence. So this way he says that if you really want to get reality, if you really want to know original world we are living, it's mere copy, but original world is somewhere else. After this, another philosopher will come, his student Aristotle will come, and Aristotle, he will bring him to the real world. He will say, the thing I am seeing, the thing I am watching, the thing I am touching, this is the reality. He brings the people toward realism. He's the father of realism. After this, we will discuss philosopher who is the father of realism. And what is his name? Aristotle. He goes us toward the life of the idealism. He takes us to idealism, and again his student will bring us to realism. I hope you got this cave theory. It's very important. So here you can see, so this is the world where we are living. Okay. So this is the sun. It is also known in Greek mythology and Greek language. It is known as logos. Logos mean reason. Logos mean sense. Logos means structure. Logos mean, according to Greek, it was a god. Logos is also known as sun, who gives light. So logos, reason, basically reason control all things. Everything is in reason, everything in ideas. So the world of idea is a reality according to the Plato. So you see, this is the word we are seeing, but this is not reality. He says that reality is somewhere else here. Whatever we are seeing, it is mere a copy and a reflection of the real world. So this is the word in which we are living, but this word is original word according to the, which is the realm or land, or the true land of farm. This is called the farm. He says that farm has reality. For example, I say that this is a triangle. Okay, I say you this is triangle. Then I say that this is triangle. So what is the best triangle? Okay, tell me, what is the best triangle among us three? If I say you have to find best triangle, so which one is the best one? I think this one. So this is the best triangle. It is not perfect. It is not perfect. So this is perfect. Where does this idea come from? Definitely, this idea was in the form of somebody. Somebody sees this, and then he formed this in mind, and from mind we have converted it on page or somewhere else. So original thing is in the mind. So this is the a world where we are living, which is not original. It is a copy. It's a copy according to Plato, and this is the form, idea of form, which is in the mind, which is in higher self, which is somewhere else, which is beyond our perceptions. And this is, we can perceive the idea of form. We can perceive form if we give attention. If we are intended to find reality, we can find according to Aristotle, but for that we have to make effort. We have to go outside the box. The meaning of the allegory. Allegory is a cave symbolizes four grades of the knowledge through which the mind can ascend to the ideas. Each level being represented by the particular state of men inside and outside the cave. Men in chains, conjectures. So men, they are just conjecting something. They are just making conjectures. That this is what we are seeing in front of us. For example, they are just here. This is a wall, and there is reflections. This is a wall, and here they are sitting. Okay, so here someone is playing over here, and this shadow is just reflecting over here. So this person consider this reality, while this is not reality. Real is something somewhere else. So same way they are making just conjecture. They are living in chain. So he says that the people, they are just following the traditional and conventional thoughts, and people, they are living in chain. They are not unbounded. They are chained, and they are unable to think outside their five senses. They are considering these five senses, whatever knowledge they are perceiving through five senses, this is reality. While Plato say that they are in doubt, they are in deceptions, they are chained, their mind is just boxed, and they are not going outside. So they are not a critical thinker, they are not philosopher, they are not good thinker. When he says the men unbound in the cave, the men unbound in the cave believe. The men unbound in the cave, so they are free from their conventional thought. For example, there is a one person who goes outside the box. He goes outside and he finds reality. So the person who goes outside the cave and he goes upstairs, and over there he finds reality. The person who is unbounded, the person who is unchained, the person who is untied, and he goes outside and find reality and knows outside the box, and exposed he's exposed everything, and he also tells other, this person is basically philosopher, this person is a true knower, he knows reality. He say that the man unbounded in the cave, so this man is a true believer. Men out of the cave reasoning. So when men, they go outside the cave, they started reasoning, they started using rational mind. And then men fully liberated ununderstanding. When men is totally unbounded, totally liberated, they are liberated now, and they are getting understanding. Men who fully free the mind from the bonds of the changing sensibilities and of the particular intelligibles, ascend to the highest grade of knowledge, or noises understanding the four grades of the cognitions. Plato puts forward the theory that knowledge is nothing but remembering of what we have contemplated before our birth. So Plato's view on the justice. According to Plato, Plato was highly dissatisfied with the prevailing degenerating conditions in Athens. The Athenian democracy was on the verge of the ruin, and was ultimately responsible for Socrates' death. In fact, he does not like democracy. Since democracy killed Socrates, and he says that democracy, democratic government is not good, because it ultimately leads toward tyranny. And there is a well-known quote by Plato: tyranny naturally rises out of the democracy. If you want to understand, I want to give you analogy of Hitler. So talk about the Hitler. Hitler was once a very democratic person, and he elected through democracy. So same democracy, it finally it turned into the form of the tyranny, and the same tyrannical person killed so many Jews. So this happened. Sometime you get some like a democracy, same democracy turned into the form of the tyranny. So it is open example, you can say apparent example you can take from Hitler. So philosopher, he say that philosopher, a person who really knows something, we must practice virtue. So there are four kind of virtue, he says. So what virtue? Wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Philosopher should have virtue like knowledge, and knowledge, ultimately knowledge will give you wisdom. Then soldier must use emotion, and emotion will give you courage. Trader must have appetite, it gives you temperance. Since you are trader, you have to do business, you must use temperance. Then if you virtue befitting the social order, for social order you need to have justice. If you want to maintain social order, you you should create justice. जैसे आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की हदीस है कि हर निज़ाम चल सकता है लेकिन जुल्म का निज़ाम नहीं चल सकता। जहाँ पे जस्टिस नहीं होगा वो निज़ाम नहीं चलेगा। ट्रुथ, गुडनेस, ब्यूटी। 429 बीसी में प्लेटो पैदा हुए हैं और प्लेटो की डेथ हुई है 3447 बीसी में। और प्लेटो को महारत हासिल थी, प्लेटो की स्किल थी रेटरिक, आर्ट, लिटरेचर और एपिस्टेमोलॉजी, जस्टिस, वर्च्यू, पॉलिटिक्स, एजुकेशन, फैमिली और मिलिट्रिज्म। इन चीज़ों के ऊपर उसने कमेंट किया है और इसके ऊपर डिस्कस किया है। मेन वर्च्यूज जो डिस्कस करता है, एपिटाइट, स्पिरिट, रीजन और जस्टिस। दीज आर द वर्च्यू एंड वन शुड प्रैक्टिस इट। प्लेटो इन्फ्लुएंस थे सोक्रेटिस थे, सोक्रेटिस से इन्फ्लुएंस थे, हेरक्लिटस से इन्फ्लुएंस थे और प्रिमेनिडी से और उसके बाद पैथागोरियन से और क्रेटलस जो थे इनसे भी इसने सीखा है। क्रेटलस जो था वो हेरक्लिटिक्स जो उससे भी बड़ा एंशियंट था, पुराना था, ये उसका स्टूडेंट था। और हेरक्लिटिस का स्टूडेंट क्रेटलस था और क्रेटलस का आगे प्लेटो ने क्रेटलस से सीखा था। प्लेटो सेज दैट virtue should be practiced because virtue is necessary. Through virtue you can distinguish yourself. So you must possess wisdom, courage, fortitude, temperance and justice. Plato grew up during the Peloponnesian wars. So further you can understand his life. I will send you some notes as well. Hope you get from today's lecture and you learned about cave theory, you learned about Plato's life, you have learned about Plato's idealism. Tomorrow I will teach you realism and idealism. I will give you comparison of realism and idealism, and I will teach you about Aristotle as well. Stay blessed and have a nice time.